Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Motivational speaker, the comeback coach, and goal crusher Joe Rivera brings you inspiring leaders, incredible stories, and valuable lessons on how you can change, grow, and reforge your life. Now, here's your host, Joe Rivera.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Reforge Your Life Show. I'm your host, Joe Rivera. And here at the Reforge Your Life Show, we like to show you that a comeback story is more than possible. And today I have someone who I'm excited to bring to the show. She's the co-founder of Free Enterprise Warriors. And she's also most recently the regional partner of Master Networks, Tina Campbell. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks, Joe. I'm so excited to be here. I love your message and your energy, so I couldn't say no.
I really appreciate it. And I love your energy also. I mean, and listen, Tina, I've heard your story and things of that nature, but I can't tell anything about you the way you can. So I'd love for you to tell the audience about you and, let them get to know you.
Okay, well, I need a timer, so if you tell me to move forward, I'll move it along, Tina. I'll try to keep it quick. I mean, it's been, I'm, let's see, 25 years in corporate HR in Manhattan. My last gig was for Sumitomo Corporation of America, Japanese trading house, where I really was tasked with growing teams of people. And I was like, I felt like that was a sweet spot for me, that I was good at that. But I was always an entrepreneur meaning I was always taking, just really taking my department and saying, okay, I'm going to take this on. I'll watch the budget. I really looked at it like it was mine, my business. And so it wasn't a big leap for me to then decide that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and really, start my own business. So then I did do that about, I guess it was 16, 17 years ago. I was, doing admin work for people similar to kind of outsource HR, all of that kind of context. Then I met a gentleman who became my mentor. He was an amazing entrepreneur, Dave Jenks. He wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent with Gary Keller of Keller Williams. And upon his retirement, he and I decided to start a company called Free Enterprise Warriors. So that's where that came into being. We were looking to activate and reactivate businesses. He was kind of the visionary. I was the implementer. And that was wonderful. And he got a phone call then from a gentleman named Chaz Wilson, who was starting a brand new networking organization that was going to be learning-based and community-minded. And he wanted Dave to be the dean of his Master Networks University and create the curriculum. And I kind of thought, well, maybe that's it for us, as far as, he's going to go his direction, his way, and I'd go the other. And he said, you know what, come along. Let's see what's going on. Come with me. Let's meet with them. And I really liked what they were, their messaging, the culture that they were going to create just jazzed me up. And I said, okay, learning-based, community-minded, that's in my wheelhouse. So they said, you know what, Tina, we want you to start New York region, Connecticut region of this networking organization. And I said, basically, what do I do? I've never done anything like that. And Dave, who was kind of a tough guy, he just said, figure it out. And I had to figure it out. But along with all of this, in the meantime, I came down with a very serious health problem. I was actually given at the time 10 years to live.
Wow.
And my daughters were young. And part of this whole journey was to show them what I could do. I didn't go back to bed, pull the sheets over my head and wait. I said, let me show them how to create something, how to be strong, even upon, if you're given news like that or bad news or whatever it is. So I wanted them to be confident women. and make good choices. So I was like, okay, this is, and they were with me the whole journey, and they knew what was going on. They were aware, but they knew that, mom, basically needed to do this, and they were incredibly supportive, and they ran alongside me. They've been to business conferences with me. They've done all these things, and they know the people, that I've worked with, and I think that has really shaped them as young women.
Mm. Wow. I mean, and how long ago was that you were given the 10 years?
16.
16 years. So 6 years to find the odds already.
Yep.
That's incredible. What was it you were diagnosed with, Tina?
So it's a blood cancer. It's polycythemia vera. It's like I overproduce, like your marrow overproduces red blood cells. And it's funny because my husband said to me, you would overproduce something. So, it's just a matter of maintenance. It's not as scary as it sounds. It's scary, but it's not as scary as it sounds. It's just a maintenance and just doing, trying to keep your health and you're kind of at an even keel.
So I mean, it's not scary as it sounds now, but I'm sure when you first found that out, it must have been
Yeah.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
what's this about? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was really scary because I actually had a stroke, which is how they found out that was just a symptom of the actual disease. Your blood gets really thick and it just wasn't flowing. So I ended up having have a stroke stupidly after I lost my eyesight for a few seconds, and I was like, "What's this?" I thought maybe it's a eye issue, and then stupidly, when my eyesight came back, I drove myself to the hospital. But luckily, I got myself there, got oxygen, and I was able to get over that. But then they said to me, "Well, that was just a symptom of this other myeloproliferative disorder," they call them. And it's basically your bone marrow is, either overproducing, underproducing, whatever it was. But I remember I was by myself in the hospital. My husband had gone to work. The kids were with my mom, and I got the diagnosis. The oncologist said to me, he came in and he says to me, "I'm sorry to tell you." And then, you don't hear anything after that. You just, you know, they have to ask later, like, what was that about? And I think it was just really bad information back then, because now you look at it and it can be taken care of and maintained. But back then there was just like less information, and the internet, of course, is terrible.
Yeah.
So basically, once I got out of the hospital and I was really on my own. I had to be my own quarterback, because I found out there wasn't anybody that knew that much about this. So being my own quarterback, I went to Sloan Kettering, got a second opinion, did all these things really with no medical quarterback. It was me researching. And again, there's a lot of really bad information. You have to be careful that you read into, too much, right? So, I've gone to symposiums in New York City with some of the big brains. Once a year, I'll usually go to one of their symposium and listen what's new, but I just always count myself incredibly blessed, because I walked out of that hospital,
Amen.
and I mean, it could have been a lot worse. So that's when I decided I can't do this. I can't go into my own head and start thinking about time being the enemy. I can do it. I said, I don't have an expiration date on me. I got to see whatever I can do to get my daughters to the point that they could, be confident on their own, make good decisions if I'm not there. Because at the time, I think they were like 8 and 12. And I kept thinking to myself, 18, 22, 18, 22. How do you get them to be, strong? And the only thing I could do was to be there as much as I could for them. As an entrepreneur, I was able to, work. When they got off the bus, I would be there. I would be in the kitchen making dinner while they did their homework. And then, of course, as an entrepreneur, after dinner, they go to bed, you go back to work, right?
Right.
So it's so, it was a lot of hard work, but I think it helped me also to move forward. And I'm probably the least scared person about the future that I know.
That's so powerful because there's so many people who do struggle with, the future and what it's going to look like, and don't know how to stay in the present and worry about, let's focus on today and make today the best day we can and be the best version we can be for the day. So, what did that look like to transform to that, right? Because we're not, we're not born like that. We're not.
It wasn't like that,
Yeah.
no. Well, it was about 6 months that in between having the stroke and then kind of getting myself together. I mean, it took me I spoke to a therapist, which was, like, incredibly helpful, and I just said, "I don't know what to do about this. I feel like this clock is ticking." And you know what? I went for about 8 months. I'm not saying that, any particular time it takes everybody something different. But with me, it was about 6 to 8 months where I went, okay, I just can't do this. I've got to go forward. I've got to move ahead. And that was just my own, whatever inside of me. I'm not trying to say that it's, people that go for longer times and need that. I think that's good that they should embrace it. But for some reason, I was just like 6 to 8 months, and I was like, okay, I got to do this. And then in the meantime, I was introduced to Dave, and he was so like amazing as far as like, free enterprise, lunatic. I mean, he's like, the American economic model is capitalism, it's free enterprise. This is the backbone. And I was just like, I can get behind that. And then when the two of us joined Master Networks, um, we went through a really an exercise to find out what our why was going to be and what the company organization's why was going to be. And I know that you've seen it before, and it's a very purposeful why statement. And at the end of that statement, it says we want to build a legacy beyond the business.
Right.
And I'm so proud that I had part in that, because that was so true for me, that my legacy to my kids was going to be, you can do this, you can get through anything. And, it's all kind of been pretty purposeful, but I have to tell you, it's not like I'm, like some guru that sits there and writes this out. I think it's just every single day, I just take it like, okay, let's go. And that's has kind of been my, my slogan, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you go through a challenge, the way you went through a challenge, and are able to push through those resilience muscles that get built, and realizing that you can do anything you put your mind through is such a blessing. It's such a powerful way to move forward in life, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should, I've listened to your story, and it's so inspiring. I mean, I'm sure you don't know what my exact journey is, and I don't, and I don't know what yours is, but we can know that we had to dig down somewhere deep, right? And get to the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go through those rough times, it's where you reveal your character, right? Because overcoming adversity, without a doubt, reveals that character, and it helps
Yep.
you be able to move forward. And it's something where you know that you could utilize those tools that you learned to overcome that, to overcome anything else.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, man, it's truly a blessing to be able to have that within you and know that it's within you, because there's so many people out there that might be even listening to the show that don't realize that they have it within them, but we're all built with it. We're all born with it. And it's just our job to learn how to pull it out. And we got to utilize the challenges we go through in order to do that, because guess what? We're going to face challenges all the time. Challenges are going to come up. Life's not a perfect ride to success. There's always going to be those bumps in the road. learning how to navigate through those bumps in the road is where the growth is. That's where the magic happens,
Absolutely.
you know? So I'm curious though, because man, finding out that you have 10 years left to live is not something we hear every day, right? And when you're going through these fears, the doubt, the worry, what are what's the belief system that you have to crack through in order to get through it?
You know, it's almost living day to day. You know, it's almost day to day. But boy, it was really interesting because I have had for about 15 years lunch with a certain group of 3 other ladies every month, and we used to live on the same street, so it was easy to get together. And they are very faith based. I didn't consider myself that way at the time. But you know what was so nice was that they just kept, part of all this was they would just keep, being proud of me and forging along and saying, "We're going to pray for you." And I was like, "Okay, go for it. I could use anything I can get."
Right.
They were awesome. And it was funny because I remember saying to them, I remember them, because they always say grace at lunch.
Right.
And it's just like, I'm always like, yeah, I'm in, like, let's do that, because anything I can get. And I remember them saying to me, they said, and they were doing a little grace, and they were saying, well, we hope that Tina's business, this is when I started for Enterprise Warriors, we hope Tina's business will be successful and she'll be able to like help others. And it's funny because when we were done and I said to them, not having a lot of religious training or anything or exposure when I was growing up, I said to them, "Are we allowed to ask for that? Are we allowed to ask for something for ourselves, like success?" And they were like, "Of course you do, because they go, we know you, and if you get the success, you're going to help others." So that really, I'll never forget that day. And then I joke around with them because after that, Master Network started to really explode. And I was like, "This is your fault." you know? But it was having, it was just, maybe it's perseverance. I don't know what it was, or just, I got to do this. But also I have to say, so that was interesting to me, but also at the same time, I'm first generation American. And this push towards hard work was always like in our house growing up. It was like anything, little thing that you did, they would celebrate. If you got a good grade, if you got a little raise of $1 at your hourly work, it was always to be like, joyful. And it's funny because that's a real great pressure to have behind you. The people are proud of you
Yeah.
when you take those forward movement steps. And I got to tell you something, that was a big thing in my life.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely. I mean, man, without faith, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I get that, leaning into the faith side and building that type of belief system that's the foundation is faith, right?
Yeah.
Because with that, you're able to move forward in the direction. And I believe that believing something that's greater than ourselves, right? To help us unlock our fullest potential is vital towards our growth and our success. And
It's a relationship with that, though.
yes,
It's your relationship to yourself,
yeah,
and it's a relationship to your faith or whatever you believe in. It's a belief system. Sometimes I feel bad for people that don't have that. And sometimes I'm like, maybe look for it, look inside, do something like that, because I think I can't dwell in the negativity. I can't.
yeah. No, that negativity is such draining energy, isn't it? It's like just brings you down. Who wants to be with all the negativity? And yeah, it's about you hit it on the nose, people get caught up in this whole, religion thing. And, I remember when I learned the difference between religion and spirituality, and realizing that, you know, re- connecting to a higher power greater than myself. I call it God. Someone else might call it the universe, infinite intelligence, whatever they believe.
Yep.
But really understanding that it's to build a relationship with that higher source of my understanding, right? Nobody could tell me how I'm going to build my relationship with God. It's my relationship. It's my God, So really understanding that and learning to unlock that and realize that, you know what, man, wow, God's my father, my mother, my uncle, my best friend, my everything. And when that spirituality comes first, man, the doors that open, the mountains that start moving, it's incredible. And it sounds like that's exactly how it worked for you with those ladies who were there praying.
Yeah.
The power of prayer is so real.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until, I became friends with them, and, they're still in my life and they're still praying for me. And, it's so awesome. I mean, that kind of support, it was unconditional.
Yeah, it's a great support network to have around as people of faith, people who have that same belief system you do when it comes to faith is always a powerful thing. I'm curious, Tina. So before that belief system was built, there was one that you had to crack through, those limited beliefs, right? What were those like?
Wow. So you're not going to believe this, but I was incredibly shy. I mean, ridiculously so. Um, Painfully shy through high school.
Okay.
I mean, it was hard. And, grew up on Long Island, really, really big high school. So you're kind of a number. And, had a couple, you had some friends, but, didn't really, it was very uncomfortable, but then I went away to college, and my my roommate, my first roommate, her name is, and she's still my really good friend. I talked to her last week, Erin Mulligan, nice Irish Italian girl. I'm sorry, Irish, um, Irish Catholic girl. Sorry. And anyway, she was very, very outgoing and gregarious. And she would say to me, "Come on, let's go and talk to that person." And I'd be like, "No, no, what do you say?" She said something to me. This is going on so many years ago. This is like 19 years old. She had the wisdom to say to me, "It's okay. Everybody's in the same boat. Everyone just wants to connect."
Mm.
And I was just like, "Really? Like you could say anything? Like you could just talk to people?" She said, "Yeah, come on." And she would drag me over to people. And I said to myself, wow, this is awesome. This is what I've been missing. And then by the time I got home to the next semester and I saw my brother said, "What happened to you?" I said, I pretended I didn't know what he's talking about. I said, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "We thought something was wrong with you." And he goes, "And now you don't shut up." So that, so actually it's funny because I wrote a little survival guide during it was actually during COVID, but it's actually the Entrepreneur's Survival Guide.
Right.
It's just a little guide. It's kind of my, as I say, ruminations of what I've seen in my entrepreneurial journey. But it's funny because I actually put a reference to my college roommate in here who helped me to unlock, a superpower of connection that I feel like that I have. And she was so thrilled. She called her mother to say, "Mom, I'm in someone's book. I'm in Tina's book." So I always say thank you to her because she was the one changed my life.
What's the name of the book again?
It's the Entrepreneur's Survival Guide.
Entrepreneur
And
Survival Guide.
and it
Doesn't every entrepreneur need that guide, huh?
And you know what? It's just like I said, it's got some things that I've seen, and then some questions to have answered at the end of each little chapter.
What was the biggest question that got you through from the survival guide?
Well, mindset.
Mm.
Mindset. The are you in the abundance mindset or are you in scarcity? And that I can actually, and you can pick out people, what, kind of automatically what their mindset is. I want to live in abundance. I want to think that the possibilities are endless. I want to think that the opportunities are just flying around me. It's what you do with those. It's not just a mindset. I mean, you actually have to take action. But
Absolutely.
if I think that way, gosh darn it, they are there. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. The mind is the most powerful tool we were blessed with. And, what we think, those thoughts, they become, our emotions, our feelings. Those emotions and feelings become our reactions, and those reactions become our results. And, that's why I believe, the story that we tell ourselves shapes and creates our destiny, you know?
I don't know if you ever had a chance to read Think and Grow Rich.
One of my favorites.
I know, my favorite too. Thoughts are things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Thoughts are things. And, that was 1930s. He wrote that in, and just talking to and I feel like a lot of what we hear now is really based on that. Like that, but that book, I even got the workbook so I could actually follow along and work on those action plans. I think that was a big change for me also when I was to start to realize I manifest this
Mm.
or not.
Yeah, no, manifestation is real, yeah. Whoever, all you listeners out there, manifestation is real. You create your own destiny. We're not victims of our circumstances and conditions. Tina's a perfect example. I mean, she could have just rolled over and said, you know what, I got 10 years left and I'm gonna make the best of these 10 years. But she pushed through and wanted to do the best she could for her daughters. And she manifested her defying these odds and going an extra 6 years, I manifested my sobriety, right? Because if you can't see it and believe it, you're never gonna be able to do it. It's just it doesn't work,
So
you know.
I'm so proud of you. I mean, I can't even imagine because it's outside yourself, it's and to go back in and inside and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. That's strength. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I was talking about it with someone the other day, and with your situation also, it's a lot of people don't realize, like, when people go through these obstacles in life and overcome these adversities, it's an inside out job. Always. It's always about, peeling back the onion, taking stock of who you are, doing the moral inventory, and realizing that you have work to do if you want to overcome whatever it is you're faced with.
Right. If you're just going to, I mean, not even having to go through these things, but just going through your day to day,
Mm.
I always wonder, why don't people want to make it better?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make it better. Just a little bit. I think I don't remember which coach is like the 1%, right? Like compound interest, 1% every day, 1%. And, just want to make it better. Just even want, affecting change by saying, I want to make this better.
Yeah.
Or, I know our mutual friend, Rick Gabrielli, talks about the frequency, right? That we're kind of, buzzing out or whatever you want to call it.
It's true.
And the highest frequency there is love.
Absolutely.
And, when you get through like all of sadness and pain and everything, and you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to really do my best. I'm going to, like my thing was, I really wanted to affect change.
Mm.
I just wanted that. I thought to myself, if I had 10 years, like I want to have done something.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Dave and went into Master Networks. I knew that I could affect change by saying to people like, come on, let's go. Let's, build your businesses, send your kids to college, make the lights stay on, whatever it is that's important, get a call, whatever it is, not necessarily materialist, but what do you want, and how is this business going to be set up so that you can succeed? That's important to me. And I think, I love to talk to people about their businesses. I'm so into, if I can help any veterans to talk about their business. I have a veterans business support group every month that it's no obligation. Whoever shows up, shows up. And what we want to do is we want to talk about a community of people talking about their business to help each other. And because I can't cure homelessness, I can't cure, some of these, sociological issues or whatever. But boy, if I could help somebody, succeed in their business, I might be helping them, and their family, and that just affects other people. So I know that sounds really, big idea, but it's just something that was probably the premise that first started to churn in me. And then it got more specific as to what I wanted to do with the veterans and with entrepreneurs.
That's awesome. And I don't think it sounds too big idea. I think it sounds like manifestation, right? And manifesting what you want, seeing your vision and having clarity on it. Because, man, how important is clarity when you have that vision, right?
It's everything. I've never been so clear in my whole life.
Right.
I'm a different person than I was from the day prior to the stroke and the diagnosis to who I am now. That's like a different person.
Yeah.
It's very strange when you think about it, right? I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, who was that guy that was doing that, right? Now you're like this different person. And I'm like, thank goodness, because I like this now.
Yeah.
I'm happy, or I don't know, whatever happiness is, but I'm certainly joyful.
Right, because you're creating fulfillment and success on your terms, right? And overcoming that challenge in your life gave you the tools that you needed to be able to create success and fulfillment on your own terms, right?
Yeah.
And man, I've had the pleasure of seeing you in action with meeting with people and helping others. And I mean,
Thanks.
it's obvious when someone sees you at work that they know that you're walking and living in your purpose at that moment. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you. I've always tried, because it's like there's no point in being something other than you're not. There's just not. That's where you're in your, your zone of genius is to be yourself. It's authentic.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm so big on authenticity. I don't know how else to be other than authentic. And how for the listeners though, like, how important is that to have that authenticity and be true to yourself and not focus on, the imposter syndrome and worrying about what other people are thinking, because what that creates is that draining catabolic energy. So how important is that, for the listener out there?
Well, everything you said is absolutely correct, because if you get distracted by these other things that are not like your true purpose, as you said, and being authentic, first of all, people can feel it. Right? People can feel like people that are like not authentic, like they can feel them coming around the corner practically. And so when you do that, you're again, you're not vibrating at that level. You said it. And then suddenly, you get distracted too. So when you're not living your high purpose, you're distracted by this and that and whatever. And sometimes it could be negativity. I'm not saying that every single day I'm happy and joyful. Of course not. But what I try to do is get myself out of it, even if it's sometimes, okay, I just got to go to bed tonight and I got to wake up tomorrow and reset myself. I'm pretty good at that. I've always talked to my kids about that, as far as, there's a lot of anxiety that goes around, a lot of, just, they don't know where their generation is going.
Yeah.
And I always say to them, it's like, you can control two things. And this comes from, someone else's work, but I know there's two things you can control. You can control, your thoughts and your actions. That's it.
That's right.
So if I'm going to be, acting a certain way that's not authentic to me because I want to impress somebody else, that's not going to work. I'm not really controlling anything. But if I bring people around me, surround me with people that feel the same way, have the same, as we talk about, core values, all of those things, I I get more and more and more and more clarity as to which direction I should go. So it's interesting, like I kind of just get feelings about, oh, I think I should go in this direction. Like recently I stepped away from being the regional partner of Master Networks due to my health and also my daughter's having my first grandchild.
Congratulations.
And I really, really want to be present in that moment. So I thought about it. I felt in my heart it was the right thing to do because I couldn't be there for everybody the way I wanted to
Right.
until I get myself healthier,
Right.
and I'm not, the situation isn't dire or anything like that, but I know if I keep going down this slippery slope, I'm just not going to be 100% to help her with the baby. So it was just kind of one of those things. And I think about it. I feel it's like, okay, what should I do? It's not always, the most comfortable thing, but that's the whole point sometimes in being, not comfortable is the direction you have to go
Yeah.
for it'll open doors.
Absolutely. Sometimes going out of that comfort zone is where on that other side, that's where the magic is, and you also said something else that's really important that I just want to make sure the listeners pick up. She said that she had to make sure she stepped away to take care of her health because then she can't be of service to the people around her if she's not at her healthiest. And man, that's so true. And it's so powerful because, there's so many people that walk around out there with something going on that's unhealthy. And if you're not out there taking care of your health, whether it's your physical health or your mental health, guess what? You can't take care of the people around you. You can't take care of your family. You can't take care of your business. You gotta be selfless in order to be. You gotta be a little selfish in order to be selfless. It's
it feels weird sometimes.
Yeah.
It feels like, oh, that's disingenuous, but it's not.
No.
That's the thing.
Absolutely.
So I think you said something really important, and that was the fact that, people are kind of just going through the motions and just trying to, not taking care of themselves, taking care of everybody else. And they feel like that's the right thing. But how long can you keep it up for?
You can't. It's just
Right?
eventually you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
You're burn out. Something's going to happen. It's just not a way to live life.
Yeah.
There's nothing you're going to get out of that. You might think in the moment it's working out. It's the best thing to do because maybe for a year it'll work out, maybe for 5 years, but eventually you're going to burn out and you're never going to be able to achieve self-fulfillment unhealthy, whether it's in your mind, your physical health. It's just not going to happen. And it's easy to get caught up in that unhealthy lifestyle, going in the hustle and bustle and chasing the dollar. And then, you know what? Next thing you know, you're living an unfulfilled life because you didn't take care of your mental health. You didn't take care of your physical health.
Yeah.
It's vital.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. So tell everybody, Tina, where they could find you and what you have going on now.
Well, as I said, I'm just taking a step back from from networking, but I'm still going to continue working with, try to work with as many veterans as I can, because that doesn't take, it's really the energy I get from them. It doesn't take, a lot of energy from me. So, so if you have any veterans that, might want to discuss business, especially with a community of other veterans, I do have that, as I said, monthly online, veterans business support group. That's the first Monday of every month at noon Eastern time. And you can find me at freeenterprisevets.com. And of course, Tina at freeenterprisewarriors.com. If anybody would like to get in touch with me,
Awesome.
that'd be great.
Well, that's going to be in the show notes.
Great.
I want can you put up that book again?
Oh, sure. My guide.
Yeah, the little guide. And can you tell everybody? There's going to be a link in the show notes for you guys to grab that book, and I suggest you grab it because Tina knows her shit, guys. She knows that she's obviously survived and grew her business. So, take it for what it's worth. There, man. You have a really good opportunity. So grab that book in the show notes. Click the link.
Right.
Tina, a couple of things that I ask all my guests. Number one is, what does the word purpose mean to you?
Well, I mean, that's, that is something I was working on for many years. And obviously, you know, it's a journey. Like I always say, I wish I could have found this, networking or veterans, or I wish I could have found it like 20 years ago. But then I said to myself, you know what? I had to go through the journey, even though I had to do those 25 years in corporate, which was fine. And but I wasn't truly happy. It wasn't fulfilling a purpose. But I couldn't have done it any earlier. I needed those tools and that experience to get to where I am now. So that's I find it interesting. I find maybe as experience and as I got older, the purpose, I looked for it more. I wasn't so much in the, oh my gosh, I've got to, get to work 9 to 5. So what was so nice is to find the purpose when I can really explore it, because my kids are grown. So
Yeah.
purpose to me is the ability to do and work for something that, is for the higher good.
I love that. I love that.
Does that
Doing
make
work for the
sense?
yeah, of course. Doing work for the higher good is definitely speaks purpose. And when you hear the word reforge, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you?
You know what? For me, it's like a fork in the road, because you can certainly think of like a blade being reforged, right? But that's the fork in the road. That's the, okay, I took this fork in the road, and I I didn't just like take I went 100 miles an hour towards that, right? Towards that fork in the road.
Yeah.
And I took it on, and I went forward, and I reforged, my, as you said, belief systems. I've taken from what you and other people that, I find to uh I take in what you say to me, and I'm able to use it and reforge, my path, my purpose. So I think it doesn't just come from inside, it's also from the people that you surround yourself. But I'm able to reforge due to others in my life that have helped me. I think people like Rick Gabrielli, other people like that have just absolutely made me think of other directions.
Yeah.
And I love that. I actually like change. So I'm one of these weird people. So I love change. So reforging is about change, but it's always the sharpening of the blade, right?
Right.
When you're reforging, you're sharpening that blade, and whether it's skills or, attitude. I love that. And I love the name Reforge.
I love that, and man, it's the fork in the road. I love that analogy, and you said something else that's so important that I just want the listeners to catch on to. The power of community, and how we grow through the people that we're growing with is so important. Because when you surround yourself with people who inspire you, guess what? You're gonna be inspired to do things with your life, and they're gonna teach you ways to do new things with your life. That's
Yeah.
how we grow.
Yep.
And what's one thing that the audience doesn't know about Tina Campbell that you do for fun?
Oh, let's see. I'm a huge reader, if you can't tell. I love, like, curling up with a book. But the other thing that it's funny, because I love to talk to people. I love to go out, so I can have both sides. I can be reading and be quiet, and then I love to go out And my kids say, they have to always tell me 30 minutes before we leave somewhere that we're leaving so that I can say goodbye.
Who would have known the shy girl from Long Island would have loved to talk to people so much, right?
It's like I'm making up for those first 18 years of my life. It's so wild, but I prefer this Tina.
Yeah. Well, man, I love this Tina. I didn't know the other one, but I love this Tina. So keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing out there. And Tina, thank you so much for coming through. It's been a blast, like I knew it would be, and I'm honored to have you on the show.
Oh, well, just the fact that you asked me makes me feel really special. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And for all the listeners out there and viewers, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to ask the favor that I always ask: subscribe, follow, like, and please, most importantly, share the episode, because you know what? There's somebody out there who's not listening or watching, and they're struggling right now with whether it's to get their life back together, to get their business back together, whatever that struggle is. And they might want to be, want the tools to reforge their life, but they don't know what tools to use. And watching one of these episodes, listening to one of these episodes like this one could definitely help them. So please like, share, and follow.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's time for listening to this.
Yeah, thank you all for coming out. Stay productive, stay profitable, and stay blessed.
You've been listening to Reforge Your Life with your host, Joe Rivera. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about Joe Rivera and how he can help you or your organization reforge your life and regain your place at the top, head on over to withjoerivera.com and follow Joe on all social platforms. The Reforge Your Life podcast was produced by Thrive Loud Productions. Thanks for listening.